Welcome up in the booth. I'm Joel Klatt. What a huge day for the Baylor Bears here as they get the win at home over Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, who had some questions coming in, certainly, but looked like they had turned the corner now with Caleb Williams at quarterback, just could not do anything offensively. So Baylor, even though there was some weird stuff at the end, going for a field goal there to get point margin for the tiebreaker issues in the Big 12 conference, it all equals out to, what do we got, 27-14. Okay, so we end up 27-14 here in Waco, Texas. Let's just start where we left off really last week, and that is Gerry Bohanon, the quarterback for Baylor, makes a huge error late in the game. They're right on the edge of field goal range, down 2 points against TCU late in the game. And he throws a pick, and right to the TCU defender. And trust me, folks, there is no worse feeling in the world as a quarterback than feeling like you cost your team the game. And that's how Gerry Bohanon felt. And he wanted that responsibility. And he told the coaches, including his offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, that I have to wear that in order to move forward. And he had to sulk in that a little bit, and he did. And then he came out and played one of his best games of his career. That was tremendous from Gerry Bohanon. It really started with the identity of the offense in the first half. So Baylor's offense wants to be a run-heavy offense and establish Abram Smith, and he was terrific, right? And they got the zone game running a little bit. And even though Oklahoma had some success stopping them in that first half with aggressive defensive line play and the linebackers flowing heavily, all of a sudden you saw some cracks, and all of a sudden there was a couple of runs get now 8 yards and 10 yards or 17 yards. And then they came out in the second half and they used that aggressiveness against Oklahoma, and they went with the quarterback read game, and it was devastating to the OU defense, who had no answer for that. They were trying to bring a safety down, couldn't bring Bohanon down in the open field, and Baylor ran away with this game in the second half with over 200 yards rushing in that second half. What a great adjustment from Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, from Dave Aranda, the head coach, to come out there and find that success for that offense. Defensively for OU, like I said, I thought that they played pretty well, and then they just couldn't adjust to the quarterback run. And once they couldn't adjust, basically it was over. Now let's go to the opposite side, because that's really, I thought, where the more brilliant performance was, even though I loved what Gerry Bohanon was able to do. Baylor fans, how about that defense? College football fans, how about Dave Aranda having Lincoln Riley's number? That's 3 straight years now. Defensive coordinator at LSU, last year with Baylor, and now this year with Baylor, where he completely stymies Lincoln Riley's offense. That offense for Oklahoma had a total of 260 yards. A big portion of that came on that last series where they get the ball all the way down and end up scoring. For the large portion of this game, this was really just 7 points from the OU offense and under 200 yards total for the game. What an incredible performance by that defense. They got some turnovers early, namely because I thought OU was forcing it. Yes, their plan was great, but part of this was what Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, wanted to do, and what he wanted to show them pre-snap and then do to them later. And a lot of it was show them that they had something available with safeties down or man coverage, and then move to something else post-snap and take it away. And what you saw was it confused the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams and then Spencer Rattler. They had to hold the ball in the pocket. And even though the protection was good for most of the day, they couldn't hold it forever, and they took some sacks because of that. But it was the first down shots down the field. Listen, you all know how I feel about Lincoln Riley as an offensive coach. I think he's one of the best offensive coaches in the sport. But today I felt like he was impatient, in particular on first down. They kept trying to take the shots way down the field on first down, and because of that, they were behind the chains and never got into a rhythm. The run game never was able to be effective enough to then lead to the play-action pass. So because of that, the defense for Baylor, they were able to tee off a little bit, and they did a tremendous job. So kudos to Ron Roberts and Dave Aranda for doing what nobody does to this OU offense, which is just absolutely stymie them, totally stop them, and they did that for most of the day. So kudos to Baylor. Now, Baylor stays alive in this Big 12 hunt, and OU, who was getting no respect from the playoff committee to begin with, now with a loss, I don't see a path for them to the college football playoff. I guess you never say never. You don't know what's going to happen in the chaos up front in the top of the rankings, and we've seen all sorts of top 10 teams lose. Now, again, this is an instance of a top 10 team losing. I just don't see it from 8, losing a game and then getting all the way back up there in the span of 3 weeks it just doesn't seem feasible to me. They're going to have to go out there and win impressively in their next two games, Iowa State and Oklahoma State. But those two defenses, at least statistically, are actually a little bit better than Baylor's. So it's going to be a tough go for the Oklahoma Sooners on the offensive side of the ball. And they'll have to figure out what they want to do from the quarterback position. I assume, and I think we all assume, it'll be Caleb Williams, who came in on that last series moving forward. So OU's got some things to figure out. After an off week, they came out here, put together a completely lackluster performance, and kudos to the Baylor Bears. Well done. Hopes alive for the Big 12 and a Big 12 championship. A year after 2-7, now they're 8-2. So Dave Aranda, the stoic one, as Gus was saying, gets a huge win, his signature win, no doubt, in his young head coaching career. That'll do it in the booth here. I'm Joel Klatt. So long from Waco.
That's incredible.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.